Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Grace, Peace, and Balance radio show by Gabi Abdelkadir. This is episode 86, and I have got a lovely lady who is an incredible at giving, and her name is Sutha. Let me read the family name properly, and I'm sure I'm going to say it right. So, Sutha Shanmugarajah.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, good. So Sutha graduated from the University of Toronto with a Bachelor of Science degree in Biochemistry. Currently, she works as a clinical research coordinator for the Psoriatic Arthritis Program at the Toronto Western Hospital. She has a deep love of reading books with inspirational and motivational themes, as well as having a spiritual lifestyle. Sutha spends her free time volunteering and assisting people in need. She is dedicated to charity work and derives satisfaction from the happiness of those she helps. Every year, Sutha takes part in different activities that bring meaning to her life. In the past, she has climbed the United Way CN Tower stair climb, oh wow, completed the 60 km walk for the weekend to end breast cancer, ran a half marathon to raise funds for arthritis, took part in multiple 5K and 10K walks to raise funds for different charities. She coordinated a number of bake sales to raise money for arthritis program, has coordinated food drives, and has helped prepare meals for the homeless in shelters. In addition, she has spearheaded children's book drive and clothing drive that was devoted to impoverished families overseas. She takes on volunteer activities where there is a need for help. One of her meaningful volunteering opportunities was for the Invictus Games. I don't know what that is, but yeah. You are an incredible young lady. Welcome to my podcast, Sutha. I am so honored to have you today.
Yeah, thank you, Gabby, for having me. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to you tonight.
Okay, so first, I would really like to take this opportunity, like in public, in my podcast, in YouTube, to thank you for your help, for all the donation you collected for my people back home in Tigray. For those of you who don't know where Tigray is, it's in Ethiopia that has been attacked by the government and by a neighboring country. There are 75,000 refugees in Sudan right now, and people were dying, women and young girls were being raped, and a lot of homeless, a lot of orphans there. So I was collecting clothing, and you did 3 rounds of collecting clothes for my people, from babies to toddlers to teens and to adults, and I'm so forever grateful to you. So I had to put that first before I say anything else or I interview you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to help where there is needed, as you mentioned in the bio.
Yeah.
I'm always, I wish, there was no food shortage, no clothes shortage, or everybody has a home, but that's not the reality. So when there's an opportunity to reach out and help, I'm always there if I can. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what I appreciate more about you is it's not that what you have in your home only, you get like you collect from your home. You go to all your families, you go to all your friends and tell them, oh, my friend needs this, or these people need that. And you go to all the charities, to all the donators, and you collect from everybody tirelessly, although you have a full-time job. And then you are a model. That was not even in the bio. And you are a model, you do a lot of modeling, and you're like interviewed by so many people, and you're so active. And the fact that you really take the time to go around driving to everybody to collect clothing and food and all that to distribute to others, it's really appreciated. Talk to me. When did you start volunteering?
Okay, so let me say a little bit about me. So I'm
Yes.
from originally from Sri Lanka, and
Yeah.
we left Sri Lanka because of the civil war. So I left when I was 9 years old. So after we left, we actually lost our home through the Civil War. Our house got bombed,
Oh,
and
wow.
there were a number of people who got, they lost their homes and everything. They have to leave their birthplace and go to other places. So I always say that I'm thankful for places like Canada for accepting immigrants and giving us opportunity.
Yeah.
So, but when I came to Canada, I was in Denmark for some time, and then I came to Canada when I was 13. And during that time, my dad he got sick. So he was
Oh.
had severe asthma, and I think he couldn't able to manage with the weather here.
Mhm.
So we had a difficult time. So so whatever, like the country over here, they did help us. So and even from that time, my parents were not able to provide a lot of stuff, like the basic needs. We had food,
Yeah.
and so we were building up our life, little by little. And there were people that I have come across during my like young age that people were really nice. They wanted to help. I could just mention one lady. Her name is Pressy. See, I was doing a volunteering, a co-op program at this medical center, and she invited me to her home, and she would give me all these motivational books to read. Even though
Oh.
I had the language difficulty at that time, I would just take those books because, I have so many, just take them. And I always mention a few of the books were Dr. Wayne Dyer, You Will See It When You Believe It, and then Tony Robbins books. And when I was reading that, at that time, we didn't have a lot of stuff. So I'm like, oh, I don't like, it's just a book. The messages doesn't make any sense. Uh, but once in a while, when we were like really struggling, I would go back and read this book. And I was always on a positive end when I read this book. And even though we didn't have much at home, I always had this tendency of wanting to help another person, or people would come to me even at my younger age. So my first volunteering was at Scarborough Grace Hospital,
Oh,
and
wow.
I volunteered at the information desk, and it was one of the difficult tasks for me because I had the difficulty of the language.
Language, yeah.
So I'll be sitting I don't know why they put me, but they put me at the front area there. So I'll be like, please, nobody ask me questions.
How old were you?
I was 16, but I came to Canada, I was 13.
Yeah.
And there was like a less of self-confidence. I didn't have proper clothes and all that. So I was raised in a difficult situation. But I think all that experience of volunteering, starting at a young age, that kind of brought up more confidence in myself.
Mhm.
And I think later in my 20s, I was not afraid to like speak to anyone. Doesn't matter if I speak properly or not. I would just ask them. And a lot of it came with fundraising.
Yeah.
So when I was in middle school, I had all these kids were raising funds for Terry Fox. And then because I had the difficulty of the language and not feeling confident, I wanted to sell chocolates, I wanted to raise funds. And these people, like, some of these kids are like, some were bullied too because you don't know the language, and they're like, oh, you can't do this. So whenever someone say you can't do this, that will go in my mind. I don't take it as, I don't go and sit and cry. I was like, no, I have to make this happen. So that motivation built it up with me. And then later on, I go, I'm going to fundraise. So the first big fundraising, I would say, started with the Weekend to End Breast Cancer. I don't know why I signed up, but it was a 60-kilometer walk. It's a 2-day event, 30 Saturday going from Ontario Place to Downsview, and the next day you had to come back. So that's like a 60 kilometer. But the hardest part was you have to raise $2,000.
Oh, wow.
In order for you to walk. Like, so if you raise 1,700 or 1,500, you cannot do the walk, but the money still would go. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, how am I going to raise this? So at that time, I was working at the hospital. I would just ask anyone that I come across. Aww. And it started with $5, $10, and I go, how this is going to happen? And then I went over that $2,026.
You did?
Yeah.
Good
And
job.
then after doing that, and after doing that walk, which I never trained myself, but is that I could do it. And
You just had the willpower.
willpower, yeah. And plus at that time I was working with breast cancer patients. So I go, here people are dying, like I'm healthy. Why can't I do something good? So it started that way. And after I finished my walk, my dad and my brother came to pick me up, and I had like, my feet was like all red, and I was like all tired. But after 1 week later, and then I go, oh, that wasn't bad. And that's how I built it up. And I have done so many of the fundraising.
The fundraising, yeah.
Yeah. And so one thing that I told myself, I don't need to be rich to help someone.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of me like being willing to do it. And some of these books were really helpful for me. Like I'll read a book and then I go, okay, I could do another bake sale. And people would come, I get really motivated. And that's how it started.
Yeah, excellent. So I see that you have also volunteered for the Arthritis Society Association. Is there any reason? Do you have any family member or anybody who is suffering from arthritis?
No. So what happened was initially I worked in the breast cancer research, and then I've been working in the arthritis program for many years. So I've been there for 15 and a half years. So talking to the patients, and they're always needing funds to do research. And so I got involved in the walks and runs. Yeah. And then actually I formed my own team. Like I created Joints in Action team that I was using every year. Like different people would join and they fundraise. And so it's one way to making awareness, the importance of taking care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And part of it was my dad like becoming sick when he came to Canada. I find that being in this country, having the resource of the OHIP, medical help, which is not available in a lot of the countries. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons I think I went into working in the hospital and wanting to support that. So sometimes people go, oh, you don't need to do that. But imagine, you have to do X-ray, ultrasound, like in some other country, you have to pay so much to make that happen.
Tell me about it, even in our neighboring country. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at the OHIP, it's more like a free, it's basically a lot of things are free, but people don't see that. So, and working in the healthcare, like wherever there is an opportunity to fundraise or to be part of another team. And I have done so many like that. So wanting to help. So that's the healthcare aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So, but your dad has asthma when he came in, you said. Is he okay now? Like.
Yeah, he's okay. He got he's been using medication for many, many years. Mm-hmm. It's just initially, I think he was not able to adjust to the weather, especially in the winter. Mm-hmm. But is under control now.
It's under control now. Okay. You're such a good daughter, such a good girl. So, okay. So I know you as the volunteer guru in my network, and talk to me. I know you are a model. Let's change gears now and talk about your modeling. Like, I am obsessed at looking of all these beautiful dresses, these beautiful photos. And these days you have videos out as well. Yeah. Talk to me. How did you get into modeling?
Okay, so it also happened through the word of volunteering. So I was at an appreciation event for volunteering. And so I met this lady, Susie Tennessee. She is the Susie Tools Fashion attire person, designer. So she was there also at the volunteer appreciation. And then I started talking to her. And there was a small, like a mini fashion show on that day at that event. And I was sitting there because as a young girl, as I mentioned earlier, in my young age, coming to this country, I had so much dream, but we didn't have the money to buy, fancy clothes and all that, which came in later in life. But I always liked those fairy tale dresses, nice evening gowns. So I was just talking to her. And what I liked about her thing was that she does support women shelter. So then I go,
Oh,
here, this is the thing. So here's another opportunity for me to get involved. So
okay.
when I got home that night, I was thinking, should I write to her? Why not? So I did write to her the next day, asking for opportunity, if there's any opportunity in the future. And, I have a dream of wearing all this fancy stuff. And she did respond to me and say, because there's an event coming up in Durham region, and you wanted to be part of it. So it's like always, I got so excited, and it's been good. And I have been published in many magazines now,
I know. Oh
different
my,
times. And I have
yeah.
been on the cover of one French international magazine. And so I got into that because when I heard that it will be supporting women's shelter, and plus bringing out the confidence in yourself.
Mhm.
There is no limit in what you could achieve, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And no, everybody has like, if they want to do something, you should not be criticized on you cannot do it. There are ways to make things happen. So,
Absolutely.
and so that's how it started, and I'm just enjoying.
Yeah,
And
but
so it's
you also,
initially,
yeah, you have other people also, like you're doing it for other people as well, right?
yeah, so it started with pictures, got into magazine. Now people are like voluntarily wanting to do videos, and
Yeah,
so it's just been going good. And
yeah,
yeah, and I
yeah.
wanted to, like, part of it I do it to just to bring confidence to other women who, there's no age limit. You don't need to worry about, how you look. Everybody is beautiful in their own way. Everybody is
Yes.
unique.
Yeah,
And fashion is something, it's not just, you have to be size 0 and it's just for one person. It's an everyday use. We need
yeah,
clothes for every day.
absolutely.
And I enjoy doing it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And the camera loves you. The camera does love you, Sudha, I tell you. Yeah. So you were born for camera, for sure. Yeah. So that was a great advice for younger generation who have self-confidence issues and maybe mental health issues, who either they were bullied growing up or in school, either because of their size or because of their skin color. I think you and I know a lot about that. It's in my book, and it could be anything. So it just the bullying in school or the calling names or the being isolated, it kind of increases in the lack of self-confidence in the young generation, especially girls. And then it goes to mental health, to depression and anxiety and hating school and hating people. What advice would you give the younger Sutha, like
The younger Sudha.
the younger Sudha, like the 12-year to 18-year-old Sudha? What advice would you give her about self-confidence and about beauty and about uh, yeah, loving
Yeah.
yourself?
So yeah, currently I'm also working on writing an autobiography. So this is a good question you asked, because in that I did share about being, your beauty and how you look. And I think back then I didn't have that confidence in myself. So I think it's part of the community too. So in that book I wrote that we talk about colors, skin colors, and all that. So sometimes people are like, Black Lives Matters and all that, and but I find it within the culture there is also discrimination on how you look and all that. So I do have a thing that when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh, I'm like darker." So even though like we are categorized as brown, uh, within the community, they also look for fairness in your skin.
Tell me
And
about it.
yeah, and then they say that, if you're more fair, you're more beautiful. So if you're a darker tone, then they're like, okay, you're gonna have a problem when you get married your parents going to have difficulty finding your husband when it comes to arranged marriage. So I had that thing in my mind. Okay, I'm less beautiful than the other people
Yeah.
who are more fair, like in skin tone. So, and then I go, this like this color and how people define you like later in life. I go, stop it. Like I I know how good I look. I think most of the time is you spend a little bit money on yourself, do your hair and wear proper like a nice clothes. Any young girl could look beautiful. I
Absolutely.
think, yeah. So anyone, if you give them the resources, um, you can make them look beautiful. And also by commenting them, like giving them positive
Compliments.
words, compliments, right? Rather than, oh my God, like, I think I was raised in that way when I was in back home, like where people like, oh my God, you're darker or your sister is more fair, like, so those kind of comments are like negative comments. And I think being in this country, people realize how those are not the right things to say.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So if I were to go back and where I am now, I just go and laugh about those things. And if I come
Exactly.
across girls who are like feeling unvalued and all that, I go, everybody's beautiful in their own way, right?
Yeah,
So that was a big,
absolutely.
yeah, that was a big thing. And then people who told me that, fashion show is for beautiful girls. I have been in so many publications just in the year and a half. So if you believe in yourself, the dream would come, you know, you could achieve it
Yeah,
any time, but you have to be in that positive vibration for things to happen.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah. And this is how it happened with my volunteering and helping people. I'm spiritual, meaning I just don't just go to one place.
yeah,
I mingle with so many people. I look at people as people, and I value people with whatever they practice. And because of that personality, people have opened their doors. So I go to church, I go to Buddhist temple, I have been with Japanese group, I go to temple. I have been with the Muslim people. So this is how I look at people. If you show love, you get that love back from
absolutely.
from them. And it comes to charity too. It doesn't matter what culture, religion, where you're from. There are around the world people who are not everybody is wealthy. So
Yeah,
in each part of the world, in each different country, there are people who are struggling and they need food. And so that's how I look at it.
yeah. And then one thing I really respected the last time we met when you were handing me donation number 3
Yeah.
is you said to me to let you know if I know of any small charity organizations, not like the big ones, because they get
Yeah.
a lot of money, like United Way and UNICEF and all those NGOs, non-governmental organizations. They already get a ton of money from people and from companies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I respected was, I even came in and I told my best friend, I told her, like, you know what she said to me today? I really love that woman. Every time like we get together, there is something that I really love about you. I really like how you told me if I knew any small charity organizations that are helping poor people or the homeless, but they don't get a lot of funding. They don't get funding, to let you know.
Yeah.
So that is the way to do it. And I really respect you for that.
Yeah. Because, we have the rich people, the middle class, and then the poor.
Yeah.
So we need to reach out to them. Sometimes people go, oh, they could work or they could do this. But you don't know what state of mind they're in.
Yeah.
We talked about the mental health. When you're struggling to even feed your family, that has a lot of impact on you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I like to reach out to families through like different network of
Yeah.
people. So I'm like, so sometimes when you ask, I try my best to share the message on social media, and I do have another lady who sent to Africa, Kenya. So I give her different stuff. And I've been collecting for different parts of Sri Lanka. And I have given, and in the past, different group of people, Philippine, even Guyana, so when I give it individually, I know it will be going to that remote village where they're not able to afford it. Then it's just a happy feeling. And the title, I say, Spirit of Giving, and I don't know who is looking after me, the God there. Every time I fill my trunk with donation and then I clear the trunk, then somebody else calls me and they have more stuff. So it's just, so I love my hand, because most of the time, I want to do something and I just get a phone call, I go pick up, and then I pass it on to the other person. So it's just been great. And even though I'm so busy, this just motivates me. Like a week ago, one of my friends, he goes, he's going to make $200 donation to me. And then I go, I don't have charities, so I don't write taxes or whatever. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And people have given me money, but just to show them, where the money is going. Usually I do the grocery shopping. And so there's a difference. Some people take grocery items. Some people, we actually have to make food for them because they don't have they're on the street.
Yeah.
So we have to make the sandwiches. So that's why I have different group of people doing different things.
Thanks,
so I took the $200 from my friend and I go, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So for $67, I bought stuff for one group. And then $412, I bought stuff for another person. And then I still have some money. And I told her, you'll see what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So with that 200, she goes, how come you got all this stuff with that? When she goes shopping, the $200 she spent so fast. But she's seen the pictures and, I'm sharing the receipt with her. And she goes, how do you get this? And I go, because I've been doing this for many years. I know where to get the bargain, and I know what people need.
Yeah. Excellent.
So, and then and then she has seen it on Facebook. I have shared it. And now she's like, my son's birthday is coming. Are you able to make food and give it to someone? I go, sure, why not? So it's just, this is how it builds up.
To give away.
I find that makes me happy. I don't watch TV. I don't watch TV at all.
Same here.
So people go, you must have, you're not doing much. You have so much time. You're doing this. And then I go, I wake up early and I'm good at planning, plan time management.
Yeah.
And being out with people and doing this kind of things makes me motivated. So I can go to bed late at night and then feeling happy.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So what I was really surprised to hear that a lot of the low income, like the minimum wage workers, that people who have like 4 or 5 children, they actually depend on food bank a lot. Is that true? Do you have any idea? Because I was really surprised because the income is not enough when you have 4 or 5 kids and you're working on a minimum wage, or single moms, for example, most of the time it's not enough and they depend and they go like to food bank to get stuff. Have you?
Yeah, I have heard a lot, and I know a lot of people are using, because over here, like even renting a place, it's not cheap as it used to be. Like I remember back then when with my family we paid $900 for like 2-bedroom. Now you have to, like, it's like 1,400 for like 1 bedroom.
1 bedroom. That's even if you can find it in a good area, you can't find it for 1,400.
Yeah. So if you do the budget and if you're working minimum pay, like how could you, like, I think there's not, like, whatever you get paid, even like, I'm making good money, but there's all these expenses.
Yeah.
Cars and, phones.
Insurance.
Yeah. So if they have 4 or 5 kids, I do remember, I know there's an area like, because they always
subsidized housing, even if they are in a subsidized housing, Still, it's not enough to take care of a family of 5 or 6, so they have to depend on food bank. So
yeah, like, if you, because when I came to this country, we were like 3 of us. We just had like, a minimum, like very few clothes that we were growing up with, or even buying a shoe has been on a special day or whatever. So that's how we were raised too, because when we came as immigrants. And I still know there is a neighborhood. It's okay to talk about because they are looking for school supplies and school bags. And it's the Thorncliffe Park. I don't know if you know Thorncliffe Park in around Eglinton. No, Donmouth and Overley. Flemington, like Thorncliffe area.
Okay.
They're always families. I have done some youth leadership program in that neighborhood because I wanted to do it over there. The reason being, they don't have, parents don't have money for extracurricular activities for kids. So if you have 3, 4 kids, and if they're already struggling to pay rent, so you have to buy clothes, school supplies.
Yes.
So it's really hard. Everything is, the price wise, everything is going up. So it's not easy, right?
It's not, it's not easy.
Yeah. And I have done like different activities during Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving. And there are like a lot of people put their name down for food, like turkey and canned items. So I know there is a high demand. And sometimes people think, if they make a donation today, okay, they did their part, but it's not like that. It's for similar to us, you have to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
And so if we do a budget for 1 week, there's so much to need to account for, right?
Yes.
So someone helping for 1 meal is kind of nothing. So when you look at the whole picture, there's so many people. And especially now, I heard the number of people depending on food bank is more during COVID. People lost their jobs or they got sick. There's so many things.
I haven't been downtown, the center of downtown, but I was told that the number of homelessness has multiplied.
Yeah. And because of, there were different reasons too. People could not be, when they were using the shelter, it was not, because of social distancing and all that factor, I think a lot of people were camping outside, and we have seen that recently on the news.
Yeah.
So it's also, people are struggling health-wise, mentally, because of if one person loses their job, husband and like a wife are working, one person loses their job, we are everything you are like paying, there's nothing free. The money and work is needed. So there are a lot of people depending on
struggling. And then the thing is, the reason people become homeless is if they can't pay their rent. The owner, like the landlord, can wait for you 1 month, 2 months, month number 3, whatever stuff you had could be down the street. Because I remember downtown a few years ago, this lady, she was a York University graduate. She was interviewed. She was homeless. She was interviewed, and you know what she said? It just hit a lot of people like a brick. What she said, I am a York University graduate. I used to have a good job and I got laid off. She said, my family is like, I think in Windsor. So she's here by herself because to find a better job, she was working, and then she could not find another job very quickly. And because she was living from paycheck to paycheck, she was unable to pay the second month, even though she was getting a little bit of unemployment. Month number 3, she couldn't pay. One day she went out and she found her bed and whatever chairs and her stuff in the street. And that was it. She could not go back home, and she could not. And you know what she said? She said, all these people dressed up in suits, walking downtown, all these bankers or whatever. She said, I guarantee you 80% of them, they're 1 paycheck away from being homeless.
Yeah, like even, last year when I'm in healthcare, I work in research, and research was put on hold during COVID. So we were doing other duties to help out. But there were people who weren't able to do that, or they were really afraid to be at the hospital setting because of COVID. And so it could have happened to me too. I could have lost my job, and that would be the situation. So we never know what's going to happen with anyone, right?
Yeah, I know it could happen with anyone. Yeah, I know. And then my advice to people is never ever to be judgmental about homeless people, because I see a lot of people yelling, go get a job and whatever. Don't judge, period. A lot of the multimillionaires right now that we know were homeless at one time. Steve Harvey, the TV mogul, he said it. He said he lived in his car for how long? He was homeless. And then from the movie The Secret, for example, you have Dr. Joe Vitale, who is now has all this car collection and all that stuff. He says it in the movie that he was homeless once. I read a book about the guy, the gentleman who started Second Cup. He was homeless once. I read this in a book. And then don't judge people. If you can help, that would be fantastic, even if it's some money for a bagel or a muffin and a coffee. If you can't help, keep your mouth shut, people. That's all I can say. Don't call them names. Don't judge them, because karma is karma. I'm not going to say the real word that I was going to say, but so be careful what you send out, because it comes back to you. If it doesn't come back to you, it will come back to your children. Could take a year, it could take 2 years. What you send out always comes back to you. So don't judge them. Don't mistreat them, please. What is your opinion on that?
That's so true. People have a quick tendency of making their own imaginary thoughts, and because I could say the same thing. My dad worked really, really hard to build this big house back home, and once we left because of the war, it was bombed. So when people when we come as immigrants here, people, it's just an assumption. Oh, they don't have anything. They're from the poor, the village people, whatever. And once you start to share the story, and they go, really, this is what happened. So, and I don't make judgment on anyone. Whenever I see someone on the street, I do feel sorry. There is a reason that they are there. And I could imagine if I was alone in this country and I lost my job and I didn't have any money to pay all this bill.
And nobody
there
to
are not
take
a lot of
you
people
in.
who are going to come and help you. As they say, they could pay you for one meal or two meal, right?
Yeah.
But they're not going to be taking care of you for 1 month or more.
Yeah.
And then I might be, getting stressed out and mentally affected, and I could be on the street too. That doesn't mean I don't have education. I, went through this, so anything can happen to anyone. So that's why we are collectively helping people, by providing them with clothes or whatever. It just makes them happy that somebody is showing them love. And bottom line is loving one another and being there when they need that help is very important than any other, medication is important, but a human soul is helping another person. It's very, very important. And so many people have come into my life that, I find that connection between them, and the help is keep on growing and getting to know people.
Yeah. And keep on giving. Like you said, you don't have to be rich to be giving, right? So excellent.
And then I had people where they go, what do you think? You're Mother Teresa, you're going to make a change. Mother Teresa was a person too. So anybody, we don't have to be like someone. As long as you have good heart and willingness to put that effort and time, there are, 10, 100, thousands of people who will believe in you and do the same things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So don't listen to them. You don't have to be compared to Mother Teresa. You don't have to be compared to anybody. You're Sutha, the greatest volunteer in Toronto. So that's who you are. So it was such a pleasure having you. So what is your last advice?
Okay, so I'm just gonna go back.
How do you want to close? You have to.
Because whenever I have an interview, I always leave with once again, Dr. Wayne Dyer's book. You will see it when you believe it.
Okay. You will see it
Yeah.
when you believe it. Okay. So since you are in my podcast for the first time, I have to ask you two questions outside of volunteering and being a giver. Okay.
Okay.
So question number one, if you had to visit 3 countries and 3 countries only before you die, what countries would they be?
I wanted to go to Greece, Portugal, and Ireland.
And Ireland. Okay, so good choices. Okay, so Greece and yeah, I haven't been to any of them. Good choices, beautiful. If you had to fulfill one dream that you haven't fulfilled yet, but you want to fulfill before you die, what dream would it be?
Okay, I always wanted to have a nonprofit organization. I've been doing everything for the past 20 years, but I don't have my own children, but I wanted to have something that one of my family members, nieces or nephews who could kind of continue doing similar things in the future.
Okay, so you want to have your own
if
charity
I can.
organization. Yes, you can. It's
Yeah.
not if you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah. So
Okay.
because I was able to do all this without a charity,
Yeah.
nonprofit, but just want to leave that legacy of to be continued.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Trust me, it's not that difficult. It was such a pleasure having you on my podcast. I love you. I have so much respect for you. Sutha, thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Yeah, thank you for Gabby. Thank you for having me. And this is what I say. You meet someone. I think I have known you for almost maybe 3 years, about 3 years. And we had that good connection. And
yes,
we are always meeting for something for good.
And you also shared the story in my book, the book on discrimination. So if for those of you who have my book, this is the surah that shared a story in my book. It's called the book on discrimination, real life stories of struggles and triumphs. It's available on Amazon, and the Spanish version is coming out in the next 2 weeks. But if you want the English version, you go to amazon.ca or amazon.com, and you can read her story. She's got an amazing story of discrimination that she has shared. So, okay, lovely to meet you. Lovely to have you on my podcast.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you on Zoom, not like in person. We meet a lot. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Until the next episode, stay safe and wishing you grace, peace, and balance.
Thank you.